Hello everyone and welcome back to Unforgotten Tech. My name is Gregory Krause and today we're going to be talking about brake flushes. We're going to be talking about what specifically a brake flush is, why you need to perform a brake flush, what happens if you don't, how often you need to complete a brake flush, and then last we're going to be going over a complete tutorial on how to complete a brake flush step by step. Now before we get started performing any brake flushes, if you could take a moment to like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so that way you never miss any of our content. Also, if you want to jump into the discussion, throw a comment below. Brake fluid is a type of hydraulic fluid used in hydraulic brake and clutch applications in automobiles, motorcycles, light trucks, and some bicycles. It is used to transfer force into pressure and to amplify braking force. This works because liquids are not compressible. Many manufacturers recommend flushing a vehicle's brake fluid every 2 to 3 years. This is because over time, your brake fluid will become contaminated with water, air, and rust. But why does this happen? This is because brake fluid is hygroscopic and readily absorbs water from the atmosphere. Water in the brake fluid lowers its boiling point. The heat during normal driving conditions will cause the brake fluid to boil, and the resulting steam leaves air in the lines. Air is compressible, unlike brake fluid, which can cause the spongy feeling in a brake pedal. While water in the system will cause rust and corrosion, causing damage to metal parts and blockages in the system. Proper maintenance of the brake fluid can prevent these issues from occurring and keep the vehicle's braking system working properly for miles to come. So how do we know if we need a brake flush? The simple way to know if we need a brake flush is to keep track of the service history and stay up on the maintenance that's recommended by the vehicle's manufacturer. However, service history is not always available for the vehicle. In these cases, we can inspect and test the fluid and system. First of all, we will want to make sure that there are no leaks in the system. If there are any leaks detected, repair the leak first, then continue with the fluid test procedure. The two main ways to test brake fluid is by testing for corrosion and water contamination. Because water contamination causes corrosion in the brake system, both methods will indicate if the brake fluid is compromised and needs replacement. For this vehicle, we will be testing for corrosion using a test strip. Anything above 200 parts per million will indicate fluid that needs to be replaced. With our test strips, we'll dip the strip in the brake fluid, then we'll wait 60 seconds for the color to change and match it to the side of the product's container to see if the fluid passes. As you can see here, our fluid did fail and needs to be replaced. Now we know what a brake flush is, how often one needs to be completed, and what happens if you don't complete them on time. Let's go ahead and look at the PPE tools and equipment we'll need for this job. The PPE required for this job are going to be safety glasses, closed-toed shoes, gloves, and be free of any loose or hanging clothing, hair, or jewelry. The tools and equipment will be a brake bleeder kit. I'll be using the vacuum snap-on type, but there are many other types that will work just fine. We'll need a wrench for the bleeder valve, and then if you're taking the tires off, which you don't have to, you will need an impact and a socket and a torque wrench. For the parts, we're going to need brake fluid, brake clean, and some rags to clean up any loose brake fluid. To start this job, we will stage the vehicle in a safe and secure location and lift the hood and set fender covers. Now we'll clean the outside of the master cylinder so that no debris falls into it when we open the top. We'll open the cap and then remove any screens if needed. Then we will suck out almost all of the fluid in the reservoir. Using the proper brake fluid, we will fill up the automatic feeder to the master cylinder and then put it in the open position. This will ensure that the master cylinder does not run dry and get air in it while performing the flush. If air does enter the master cylinder, this can cause damage and further repairs needed. We will then safely lift the vehicle and remove the tires for better access. On this vehicle, we are doing a brake inspection as well, so having the tires off works out great. However, you don't have to take off the tires to perform this procedure. When flushing the vehicle's brake fluid, you will need to follow a specific order of which wheel is flushed in which order. This vehicle calls for the vehicle's wheels starting with the furthest from the master cylinder to be flushed first and then ending at the wheel that is closest. This would be our right rear first, left rear second, right front third, and then last we would flush the left front. Your vehicle may have a different order, so make sure you look this up before starting. Also, your vehicle may require a scan tool to complete this process as well. We will make sure our brake fluid tool is empty, then set it up hanging close to the brakes. This will allow us to install the brake flush hose on the bleeder valve. Then we will turn on the flush tool. After we have turned on the flush tool, we will then be able to turn the bleeder valve one full turn and brake fluid should start coming out. If fluid doesn't start coming out of the bleeder valve, there could be a blockage. In this case, you would have to make the repair before continuing. We will run the brake flush tool until there is clearly new fluid running through the system and there are no air bubbles either. When we close the bleeder valve, we want to use moderate pressure and then remove the vacuum hose after. We will leave the vacuum on while doing this so that there's no fluid leaking out and no air gets in the system as well. Now we will repeat the process to each wheel until all have been fully flushed. This will ensure that 100% of the brake fluid is replaced. Key notes during the process are to make sure that this is done in a timely manner, as brake fluid will quickly absorb moisture and become contaminated. Also, brake fluid is extremely hazardous and can cause personal injury or destroy the paint on a vehicle. All right, just to recap on today's video, we learned about brake flushes. We learned what a brake flush was, how often you need to complete brake flushes. We learned what happens if you don't complete a brake flush, and then we went over a complete tutorial on how to perform a proper brake flush on your vehicle. Well, my name is Gregory Krause from Unforgotten Tech. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming in and watching our video today. And remember, be strong, believe, be unforgotten.